Hello and welcome back to Small Screen Stories. This is the, not daily show anymore. It is a show which now airs on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, in which I talk about all the news in the world of entertainment and pop culture. There is these Tuesday shows, as I said before, will be longer than the usual show because there's a lot of stuff to go through because, well, you've got the news from Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday to go through. I do kind of try and get it as streamlined as possible and as just basically tell you the news that I think you might find the most interesting. And you know what? There's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the last couple of days. So before I get into all of that, please, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be really, really helpful. It would help me out. It would help us over at Small Screen Out. And if you could also follow us on social media, that's at Small Screen Co, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And if you could like the page on Facebook and like the video, share the video, do all of that stuff. It really, really helps. If you'd rather listen to this as a podcast, we do also release this as a podcast. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. I said podcast so many times. That's at Small Screen Stories. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, then 5 stars would be much appreciated. Thank you. Right, so let's get into the big news of the day. Big news of the week so far. And that's that. Let me get it. Chris Evans has claimed Chris Evans is returning as Captain America in the MCU. So what does this actually mean? Well, it's quite big. It's very big news because, of course, if you've watched the Avengers, it was Endgame, then it kind of looked like his time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe had come to an end, really. He had a very nice ending. It really, for me, it was a very satisfying ending to his character. It was slightly open-ended, let's say. I mean, you know, it's not one of those endings that you're like, he will definitely not return. The ending I'm referring to, of course, was Tony Stark. But no, this comes from Deadline, which is a very reputable source. So I'm inclined to believe that is the case, and they are reporting that he is going to come back. So what they don't seem to know whether it will be the iteration of Captain America that we've been used to over the course of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether he'll come back as Old Cap, Old Man Cap, which is actually the last time we saw him was as an old man, and it was revealed that he went back in time and then just decided to live out his life with Peggy Carter. This actually had been previously reported by Geekosity quite a while ago, so I want to give them the credit where it's due. It was October 17th, 2020. They actually said that Chris Evans was going to come back as Old Man Cap in Secret Wars. So we're now seeing that this could be, again, it could end up being in a Secret Wars movie, or it could be in a Secret Invasion. So it still seems as though, we don't know what's happening as far as that. So I've been asking around trying to find out what's happening, but it's one of those bits of news that I think they definitely leaked it to Deadline so that it was out there and it wouldn't be reported on by probably another website, and they tend to really get annoyed by that sort of stuff. But here's what Deadline said. So they said Evans has been very public that he would be hanging up the shield after Avengers Endgame, with Marvel going as far as having the character hand the shield to Anthony Mackie's character at the end of the film in a passing of the torch type moment. Things had changed in recent months as the idea was floated of Evans returning to the MCU as Rogers to see if there was any interest, and as the weeks went by, Evans became more game to the idea, with the two sides coming to an agreement at the top of the year. So that's what was reported then. Then Chris Evans then took to Twitter to basically say, to make a bit of fun of it, and he said he tweeted news to me, basically saying that he hadn't heard anything about this. And then in a rather nice, if you look at the tweets below, Jamie Lee Curtis, who he was in Knives Out with, they both were brilliant in that film, then asked if she could play his mother. She says, in every film you do, can I play your mother in every film you do? So it seems as though Jamie Lee Curtis wants to be Captain America's mother. But what do you think about this? I'd like to know from you guys what you think, how you think Captain America could return, because it's a really, really big. It's a big thing. It's a big something that I think is really, really interesting. But like, how could he come back? I'm really struggling. You can probably see that at the moment, but I'm struggling to think how he could come back, because either he comes back as Old Man Cap, which would be, I think, fascinating, or he comes back as like himself, Captain America. But then it's like it kind of makes the whole moment in Avengers Endgame kind of redundant. So come up with your theories. Let me know your theories, and let's just try and figure out how it's going to happen. I have been asking around. I haven't really had any confirmation. People don't seem to know. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Right, moving on to Karen Gillan. Karen Gillan has confirmed in an Instagram live that she's returning as Nebula in Thor: Love and Thunder. So this Thor: Love and Thunder is going to feature a lot of people. So we already know that, of course, Chris Hemsworth is coming back to be in the movie, but also Natalie Portman's going to be in this film. Tessa Thompson's going to be in the movie. Christian Bale's playing the villain in the film. And then we also, who else is going to be in this film? There are loads of people coming back into to play this movie, to be in this film. But I think Chris Pratt and Dave Bautista are coming. And then it's been revealed that Nebula is going to be the third Guardian of the Galaxy, because she is kind of part of that now, to be in this movie. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty big deal, this film. I'm really excited about it. I love Taika Waititi. Also, Matt Damon is reportedly going to be in the film. Now, whether or not it'll be another cameo like he did in Thor Ragnarok, I don't know, or whether he'll have actually a bigger role, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, she revealed that Nebula's coming back, which I think is nice. I'm happy to see her come back and play that character, because she's great as Nebula, and I really want to see more of her. Right, moving on to what I just said before. Well, actually, I'll move away from that. I did mention that Matt Damon is returning to the MCU in Thor: Love and Thunder. He was spotted at Sydney Airport with his family, so I think it's pretty certain that he's going to film that. Moving on from that, in Thor: Love and Thunder, rumored to feature an X-Men cameo. So this comes from Daniel Rickman, and he's claiming that Thor: Love and Thunder will feature Storm in the movie. So that's something that, you know what, I think that could actually happen. They are starting to think about how they could bring in the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'll talk more about that in a second. I think the first X-Men to debut won't be Storm. I think it'll be someone else, but more on that later. Moving on from that and on to, again, I did say I'm going to try and get through these as quickly as possible. So Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, is reportedly going to be the new Black Panther in Black Panther 2. So this comes from Fandom Wire, and that's over there. It was Andy Signal that wrote the article. So according to his sources, yes, it is going to be Letitia Wright who's going to be the new Black Panther. So this is something that a lot of people were kind of discussing and trying to figure out what's actually going to happen in this movie, because, well, I suppose if you haven't been paying attention to all the everything that's been going on, so it was reported that that basically, well, it wasn't reported. Letitia Wright took to Twitter to post a video that was an anti-vaxxer video, and also, yeah, it just wasn't a good thing to post. It kind of made the rounds. It went viral. People got very upset with her. She was responding to people, which kind of made everything worse. And then I think Don Cheadle ended up kind of getting involved as well, and then that didn't make things any better either. So then she ended up leaving Twitter. So people at that point, because before then, a lot of people, myself included, really thought it was kind of no-brainer that Shuri would end up becoming the next Black Panther. It happens in the comics. A lot of people were against the idea because they were saying she's not quite right for the role. She's more of a kind of Tony Stark type character, or, you know, she prefers to be the one that's creating the things for Black Panther, which makes sense. That's how she was portrayed in the first Black Panther movie and in the Avengers films after that. But, you know, I think there are grounds for her to be the next Black Panther. I think she'd be very good at it. And this is what Andy Signal wrote. So he said, we're told that currently the film's opening will feature Chadwick's Black Panther character in costume for a short, respectful tribute and sends off the character. The specifics of that scene are still being decided on, but T'Challa will pass on. This will leave the state of Wakanda and the throne in disarray. We're told that many characters will vie for the throne, but ultimately one will prevail. We learn Shuri will become the next Black Panther. So this is interesting because there were rumors that M'Baku might become the next Black Panther. So M'Baku is played by Winston Duke in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I actually thought that'd be quite cool. I thought that was quite an interesting way to go. But no, apparently it's going to be Shuri. So again, it's Fandom Wire. To be honest, they tend to be pretty much spot on with their scoops. So this is why I ran it, because I think they're right. I think it is going to be Shuri, because it would just be a bit weird if it wasn't someone related to T'Challa. I think if it was M'Baku or Lupita Nyong'o's character, I'm blanking on her name right now, the character's name, which is annoying. Then it's kind of that. I think that might be a bit difficult. So what? Sorry, it looks like I'm struggling with the keyframe frequency. If you're struggling, if you're in the comments, can you let me know if there's something amiss with because it seems to be fine as far as I can tell. You can see 4 seconds or less currently. Okay. Anyway, I'll keep on going because it seems to be fine, but YouTube is telling me there's an error. This is live streaming for you. But let me know. Let me know if it's going on. But anyway, back to Shuri. What does this mean? Well, to me, I think this is what's going to happen. I think lots of different characters are going to vie for the mantle of Black Panther. I think M'Baku will be one of them. I think Daniel Kaluuya's character might be another. I think Lupita Nyong'o's character might be another one that's in the mix. They also, in the article, in the Fandom Wire article, they also report that Michael B. Jordan is coming back. That I'm not so sure on, I'm going to be honest. I don't think that will happen. But we'll have to wait and see. I haven't seen anyone else reporting that, so maybe take that bit with a pinch of salt. But as I said before, they were the ones that broke the news about Spider-Man 3 featuring both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And it seems as though that's pretty much spot on. So they do have a pretty good track record as far as these things are concerned. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Right, moving on to Marvel reportedly wanting Henry Cavill to play Captain Britain in the MCU. So this actually comes, I believe I went a bit weird there. I think this comes from Daniel Rickman again, but I might be wrong. So I just want to check it. I want to give the source credit where it's due. So here we go. Captain Britain. Where did this come from? It came from Daniel Rickman's Patreon page, his beloved Patreon page. So Daniel Rickman, I say this every week, is someone that he posts a lot of scoops on his page. If you want to read them, you have to pay, which I don't do. Full disclosure, I tend to get them from other sources because they tend to report on these things as well. The thing is with Daniel Rickman, he puts so much stuff out there that he's bound to be right on a couple of things. It's a case of even a broken clock is right twice a day. But it's kind of be a bit remiss not to write about it, especially if it's being reported on by other people as well in the industry. So I'm going to be honest. I think take this with a pinch of salt, because first off, I don't think Henry Cavill's right for the role. I love Henry Cavill. I think he's great. I would love him to be the next Bond. I'd love him to be in everything, to be honest. I think he's a really, really good actor. And I think he's really underrated, actually. But I think he's wrong for the part of Captain Britain. I think a lot of Americans put him in that role because they think, oh, he's British. I think there are a lot of other people that are better for the role. Someone in the comments actually said Tom Hopper, I believe his name is, from, what was he in? From the Umbrella Academy. And I actually think he'd be a much better choice for the role. I also think Henry Cavill might be slightly too expensive, and he's also quite busy now. He's got The Witcher, and that's going to take up a lot of his time. And he's also reportedly going to be back as Superman in the DCU at some point. So that might be a bit of a stretch as far as I'm concerned. But I just wanted to tell you guys that the rumor is out there. It is a rumor, hasn't been officially confirmed yet. But let me know who you think would be a good choice for Captain Britain. I have always said that I would love to play Captain Britain, but I'm not the right person to play that role either. I think Henry Cavill isn't quite right for it either, to be honest. It's, he's just not quite the right type of actor, I think, for that role. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Right, moving on from Captain Britain and on to Marvel Studios reportedly wants to make a Deadpool, Spider-Man, and Daredevil team-up movie. So this actually comes from We Got This Covered. So do I have We Got This Covered? Well, I'm gonna get into it. I actually think this is happening. I actually think this is something that Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige have wanted to do for quite a while, ever since they got the rights to Deadpool back and also Spider-Man. Now, the issue with this is where would they place it? So would it be in Marvel Cinematic Universe? Well, Kevin Feige recently revealed that Deadpool 3 is going to be R-rated and is going to be in the MCU. So that makes me think that, yes, this is actually something that could happen. The only issue I see with this bit of news is Spider-Man, is the Spider-Man thing. I think if it were a Daredevil and Deadpool team up, then I'd probably be a bit more, this is definitely happening. The thing is that the three characters would work really well together. The thing is that Spider-Man is actually technically still owned by Sony Pictures. So what that means is that Sony would have to be on board with this. Now, I think they probably would, but then it would actually mean that it would have to be a Marvel movie, so probably a bit more like the Avengers films in which Spider-Man comes up. So we do know for a fact that Marvel is trying to renegotiate their contract with Sony as far as Spider-Man's concerned. The idea is that they're going to try and get Spider-Man in more movies, in more Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So meaning that Spider-Man, the standalone films, will still be all dealt by Sony Pictures, but then all the films that Spider-Man will come into in the Marvel Cinematic Universe would actually be Marvel movies, and they'd be able to use him as much as they want. I've heard rumors that they might be trying to make Tom Holland more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man, and then probably bringing in someone like Miles Morales to be the Sony Pictures Spider-Man, which could work. That could be an interesting way to go. I think actually Marvel Studios would probably like to use Miles Morales themselves, personally, but we'll have to wait and see. As far as this is concerned, we've heard rumors, I'm going to talk about this in a second, that Charlie Cox is back as Daredevil in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That was reported by Charles's Multiverse, I believe. Murphy's Multiverse. That's the name of it. I was getting all mixed up with the names. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. So that is basically happening. I think, as far as I'm aware, that is happening. We were told that they're working on a new Daredevil TV show for Disney Plus Star in over here in Europe and outside of America, and Hulu in the US. So it seems very much as though it's all kind of things go as far as Daredevil's concerned. Also, it was reported that I believe it was Daniel Rickman that reported this, that Charlie Cox has signed like a multi kind of picture deal with Marvel Studios, which means he's going to be in multiple movies and TV shows in the MCU. So that's kind of big news. So all of this leads me to believe that at some point in the MCU, we're going to get to see Deadpool, Spider-Man, and Daredevil all team up in a movie together. It would be a pretty fun film, I think. I think it would do really well as well. If they could make it, with Deadpool being involved, just like it might be a bit difficult to work out the tone. That might be one of the problems. Like, do they make it R-rated, or do they just kind of make it PG-13 and kind of go down that route? I think they probably go for the latter. I think they go for a PG-13 movie involving Deadpool. The thing is, the movie would make so much money. It would make so much money. Imagine people would love to see Spider-Man and Deadpool and Daredevil all together on the big screen. And I think the three actors there, so you got Ryan Reynolds, Tom Holland, and Charlie Cox, that would be a really, really good lineup for that film. So I think if Marvel isn't thinking about it, which is apparently they are, but if they aren't, they should do now. So maybe try and get that trending on Twitter. Right, moving on to, as I was saying, Daredevil. So Charlie Cox has reportedly wrapped filming on Spider-Man 3. So I just want to, again, just check that I get the... here we go. So... sorry about this, it's dead air. Here we go. I'm trying to find the article on the website. So that is actually from comicbook.com. So I wanted to make sure that I got it right. So again, they are very, very they're very reputable, comicbook.com, and they said that Charlie Cox has wrapped filming on Spider-Man 3. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what would Charlie Cox actually be doing in this film. So we still don't know officially whether it's still going to be the version of the character that we knew in the Marvel Netflix shows, or if it's going to be a new version of the character. I personally think it's going to be the same. I think they're going to just have him appear as Matt Murdock. and there were rumors that Matt Murdock would be in this film as Peter Parker's lawyer. Now, whether that's still the case, I don't know. I think that'd be quite cool. I think it'd be quite cool to see him represent Peter Parker in court and get him off the charges of being Spider-Man. I don't think we're going to see him as Daredevil in the film. I think that might come later. But no, he has reportedly wrapped. So he was apparently in Atlanta filming his scenes. So that's good news. That's very, very good news. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Right, moving on to Kevin Feige, who's teased the introduction of Nova in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's very, very Marvel heavy today. I'm sorry about that. So this was during, it was comicbook.com's podcast Phase Zero. And Kevin Feige was asked whether Nova could be introduced to the MCU as a supporting character in his own movie. And Feige simply responded with one word, saying yes. He then said yes to whether Richard Rider, who's Nova, would be used, or if his younger counterpart, Sam Alexander. They might be. It seems as though it might be a couple years away from happening all this. And then Feige said, "Timing is relative, right? I think I'd been talking about Doctor Strange 8 years before that movie came out. So immediate potential is relative, but clearly we are not shying away from the cosmic ends of storytelling, right in the sweet spot of the Nova core and Nova himself." So to me, it sounds very much like they're going to bring Nova into it. I mean, it's kind of inevitable at some point. These films are getting more cosmic, so we're going to see Nova core more, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see Nova. What do you think about that? Is that something you're interested in? Are you? Nova was a really big character in Marvel Comics, kind of almost bigger than the ones that we know today, like the Iron Man and the Iron Mans and the Captain Americas, or the Iron Men, I should have probably said. So yeah, Nova's a pretty big deal. So I'm excited to see that. Right, moving finally away from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and onto the DCEU. So Warner Brothers' CEO has confirmed that all the DC Universe films and TV shows are connected. So this was, again, I should have probably got all these before, but this was in an interview where she was talking about what's going to happen, basically, and what's been happening at DC Films. So with Walter Hamada and all that. So it was in an interview with MediaLink, and it's Ann Sarnoff is the CEO, and she said everything's connected now, and we're building a DC Universe plan that's much more centrally connected but individually executed. I think it's really upstream in the planning that's all it needs to come together. I think it's really upstream in the planning that it all needs to come together so people can feel pride of their efforts. So she's basically saying here, in a rather convoluted way, to be honest, is that the future movies are all going to be connected, which is something they've been trying to do for a while. But this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the same way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been connected, because they are very much leaning on the multiverse. I know Marvel is doing the same. They're basically doing the same thing, but both Marvel and DC. But the way they're going to be doing this, like you're thinking, well, does this mean that Robert Pattinson's Batman is connected to? No, it doesn't. Robert Pattinson's Batman will be kind of almost like Todd Phillips' Joker film. Is going to be like basically an Elseworlds kind of DC Comics film, which will be happening on a different Earth. So we know that the Flash movie is going to introduce the concept of the multiverse. So we're going to have multiple Earths, which is how we get the likes of Ben Affleck's Batman coming back and Michael Keaton's Batman coming back and Linda Carter potentially coming back as Wonder Woman, although she was teased at the end of Wonder Woman 84 as another character who I'm forgetting, kind of not the original Wonder Woman, but not Wonder Woman. I can't remember her name. But yeah, so that's how they're going to be doing this moving forward, which makes sense. It does make sense. So it means that they will be able to make these DCEU films, but also make kind of adjacent films. And also, she said, individually executed, which to me makes it seem as though they're going to keep on going down this route of kind of hiring talented directors, the likes of, well, I actually do think Todd Phillips is very talented. But, you know, directors like Todd Phillips, directors like James Gunn, directors that are not just shooters like they did with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they hired quite young directors that they could kind of make them do what they wanted them to do. I think the DCEU or the DC films moving forward are still going to have kind of keep that individualistic, if that's a word, I said it pretty badly, kind of tone. Like they're all going to be, you can tell that a certain DC Comics film was directed by a certain person. And I like that. I like the fact that they're going to be doing that. It's something that I think they should really lean on. We're going to have to wait and see what the future of the DC EU or DC films is going to be. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Right, so moving on to the Justice League. So Zack Snyder's Justice League. So he actually revealed that his Justice League that's coming to HBO Max won't be a miniseries as previously reported. It's actually going to be a 4-hour-long movie. Imagine sitting down for 4 hours to watch Justice League, but that's what we're going to have. So, as I said, it had previously been reported that it was actually going to be released as a miniseries, so 4-part miniseries, 1 hour each. But now, Zack Snyder on Vero, basically he was asked, so is this still a series or a one-shot watch of a movie? A rather convoluted question. And then Zack Snyder replied, a one-shot. So basically, it's just going to be a film. This kind of makes sense as far as I'm concerned, because it's also been reported that it's going to be released in cinemas. So this means that it's just going to be a 4-hour-long movie, which is incredibly long. That is so long to sit there for in one sitting. So I think they might have to bring back, what are they called? Intermissions just for this movie. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Are you excited for a 4-hour-long Justice League? Right. Ben Affleck said that being Batman in Justice League was worth the suffering. So he actually was talking specifically about wanting to play Batman for his children. So it was very much that was something that he really, really liked, was the fact that his kids, he'd finally make a movie that his kids could watch. So I'll just this was in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, so on their podcast. So he says, I did Batman because I wanted to do it for my kids. I wanted to do something that my son would dig. I mean, my kids didn't see Argo. Zach wanted to do a version of the Frank Miller Dark Knight graphic novel series, which is a really good version of that. Unfortunately, there are lots of reasons why things go the way they do in the movie business. And just because your face is on the poster doesn't mean that you're actually that you're dictating all of those things. And even if you were, that they would be good, that they would go well. I wore the suit to my son's birthday party, which was worth every moment of suffering on Justice League. So he really, really slams Justice League there. But he's basically saying that Zack had a vision that he liked. He liked the comic. He liked Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. I mean, the film that they ended up doing, the Batman vs Superman film, was kind of inspired by that comic, but it wasn't an adaptation of that comic at all. So I mean, I still think that Ben Affleck is one of the best versions of Batman. Incidentally, he also said I think it was in the same podcast episode, that he thought that Kevin Feige is the greatest producer that's ever lived. So I think he's lining himself up for something in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or at least trying. But what do you guys think about Ben Affleck's Batman? Do you think it was worth the suffering? I think he was very good. I think he's a very good Batman in relatively very average movies, really. I think he could have been great if he'd. I do personally think Zack Snyder is part of the problem, because I think his idea of Batman is actually rather convoluted and not one which really is in keeping with the comics at all and what the character's all about. I'm being completely and brutally honest with you. But there are moments in Batman vs Superman that I think are brilliant. I keep on thinking about that incredible scene where Batman saves Superman's mum. I think that's probably the best Batman scene ever put to film. But I also think there are massive problems with that movie. And one of the problems is that Zack Snyder just doesn't understand Batman. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for saying that, but I think it's true. I don't think he understands Batman all that well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Moving away from Batman on to Superman. So according to Daniel Rickman, Henry Cavill Superman is rumored to be cameoing in the Flash movie. So this is the film that's being directed by Andy Muschietti. I alluded to this before. Of course, that film is going to be featuring all sorts of people, including the likes of Ben Affleck as Batman, Michael Keaton as Batman, possibly Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I've been hearing. And now Henry Cavill his Superman, but also not just him. Apparently, Jared Leto is in talks to return as the Joker in the Flash movie as well. So it really sounds to me as though this is going to be just everything. It's basically going to be the Justice League film that they wanted to make, really. It's going to probably, I think it's going to reset the DCU to a certain extent. We already heard that Cyborg isn't going to be in it, and that Ray Fisher was very vocal about not being happy. Well, he wasn't happy about that at all, but he accepted the decision. But then, there are lots of issues between Ray Fisher and Warner Media. I don't really want to go into those at the moment, but it seems as though we're going to get Superman and the Joker in this Flash movie. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Talking of the Joker, David Ayer released a new clip of Jared Leto as the Joker from his cut of Suicide Squad, and it's similar to what we saw before. I'm going to be honest. I still would love to see the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, because I'm very much an advocate of seeing a director's initial vision put on the big screen and not seeing a movie that was just cut into a complete mess of a film, which that Suicide Squad was, the 2016 movie. But I'd also like to see more of Jared Leto's Joker, the way it was intended to be put on film. I think the final version that we got in that movie was not a good representation of what they wanted to do with that character. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So it was revealed. So moving on to kind of slightly different things, here's a final bit of movie news. So one of my favorite films of the year was Extraction. I thought it was just really, really good fun. And starred Chris Hemsworth, who was directed by Sam Hargrave, who was, I believe, he was a second unit director, I think, on some of the Russo brothers' films, so some of the Marvel films. But comes from he's very much a stuntman. Not very much a stuntman, but he comes from that background. He was a stuntman, and you can really tell that with his films. Extraction, I think, has one of the most incredible sequences I've seen in an action film, and that's the one in the car, and also just some brilliant hand-to-hand combat scenes. I think it's a really good piece of action filmmaking. I think it's fantastic. And he spoke to Collider recently. It was revealed that they're going to be making Extraction 2 for Netflix, and he said, so as far as my personal involvement, I would like to be as involved as possible, but I also don't want to be greedy. There are lots of other super talented filmmakers out there who would have very unique visions and would bring something new and fresh to the franchise that I would be excited to see as a fan. Hopefully, we get to do the second one with all the same team and really establish the franchise, if you will. But from there, I would love to see, as a fan of cinema, other young directors, again, can push the level of action. In the actual interview, he is directing the next Extraction film. I'm pretty sure he's directing that film. But it's sorry, I'm on Collider at the moment, trying to have to consent to stuff. So he actually revealed that Extraction 2 would film in the fall of this year. So that's still the case, COVID pending. That's kind of everyone's little caveat right now, but we're moving forward on it, as well as shooting in the fall. Joe Russo is finalizing the script. We're all excited to read it. I've read different iterations, but I'm excited to read what he turns in. We're all looking forward to getting back in the saddle and hopefully bringing another action-paced adventure in the Extraction universe. So they're calling it a universe now. So they're really, really thinking of making other Extraction films, like the Extraction cinematic universe. I think that's quite fascinating. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Right, moving on from that and on to some TV news. So I alluded to this before, but it seems as though Evan Peters' Quicksilver is going to be in the next episode, or one of the next episodes of WandaVision. So this was, again, reported on by Fandom Wire. Andy Signal over there reported on this. So interestingly enough, if you were thinking of which Quicksilver would be coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe even at this point, you would think of Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who played Quicksilver in Avengers. Which one did he play him in? One of the Avengers, the second Avengers film. I'm blanking on the name now. Age of Ultron. There we go. But no, it seems as though it's actually going to be Evan Peters' version. So he, of course, played Quicksilver in the Fox movies, in the 20th Century Fox films, he's actually brilliant as the character. I think he's probably a better Quicksilver. But no, FandomWire is saying that it's going to be Evan Peters and not Aaron Taylor Johnson. Here's what Andy Signal wrote. The events in WandaVision will set up Marvel's multiverse, and in doing so, we can confirm exclusively that the series will be bringing back a huge surprise character in Quicksilver. That's right, folks. Quicksilver is coming back to the MCU via WandaVision. But we're not talking about the Quicksilver played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. No, this surprise is even more epic, as WandaVision will be bringing in X-Men's Evan Peters as Quicksilver, which means he's going to be officially the first X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is what I was talking about before. I think this is a really, really good idea. It could be quite interesting for her. I do think WandaVision is going to open up the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the multiverse. I think I watched the two first WandaVision episodes, and I thought they were really quite fascinating. A bit of a slow burn, I will be honest with you, a bit quite slow, a bit weird watching like a 1950s sitcom, American sitcom, and I think the second episode was meant to be like 1960s. So first was 1950s, second was 1960s. But I liked it. I did like it. My wife really loved it. So that's something that I've heard a lot of people saying, that the people that are kind of into like Bewitched and stuff like that are really, really dug the first two episodes. I'm not sure if they'll like the rest of it so much, because I think it'll get quite weird. And I think this is one of the things that will happen in it that will be quite strange, is that Evan Peters will turn up as Quicksilver. I'm really excited to see this happen. I hope that FandomWire are correct in this. Again, as I said before, they tend to be bang on the money as far as these sorts of things are concerned. So I'm pretty confident that it's happening. But what do you think? Is this something that you're looking forward to? Would you like to see Evan Peters as Quicksilver turn up in WandaVision? Let me know in the comments below. Right, moving on. And this is the next bit of Daniel Rickman news. Apparently Daredevil star Vincent D'Onofrio is rumored to be returning as the Kingpin in the MCU. So before I continue, I just want to make sure that it was Daniel Rickman, because it tends to be. But this might have been We Got This Covered. Yeah, I'm right. It was We Got This Covered. So do take this with a pinch of salt. But then again, they've proven to be right on a lot of things as well. But they do write a lot of things as well. So let's just say this is all rumor until anything's been officially revealed. But according to them, Marvel President Kevin Feige is very keen on bringing Vincent D'Onofrio back as the Kingpin. Now that would, to me, make perfect sense, because I think Vincent D'Onofrio is the best and probably only person that can play the Kingpin in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think he's just perfectly cast, and he is been very vocal about wanting to come back to play the role. There's also that quote that Feige said, where he said "never say never" when talking about whether the Marvel Netflix characters could come into the MCU. So I'm pretty sure this is happening. I think Vincent D'Onofrio will be one of the main villains, like in the more kind of grounded Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, probably more of the TV shows type thing. I think it'd be great to see him back. I really would love to see him back. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Right, moving on. There's so much to get through. So Ethan Hawke has been cast as the main villain in Marvel Studios' Moon Knight series. So this is the series that they revealed Oscar Isaac will be playing Moon Knight. It's a pretty big deal that he's playing that character. And now they just added Ethan Hawke to the cast, which is just brilliant. Two brilliant actors. So this was revealed by The Hollywood Reporter. So there's nothing official about who he's actually going to be playing. They did say he's going to be playing the main villain. They all then went into talking about Bushman. So this is what they said in their article. It's unclear who Hawke will play. But Moon Knight's arch nemesis is a villain named Bushman, a fellow mercenary who turned out to be the hero when Egyptian gold came into the picture. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this and who he actually ends up playing. So they've already got directors for this series. So Mohamed Diab is one of the directors. He directed a film called Clash, which was really, really good. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead are also going to be directing episodes of this. I think they direct together. They directed indie sci-fi horror movies, The Endless and Synchronic, I believe is how you say it. The Endless I've seen. The Endless is really good. I haven't seen Synchronic, but I would like to catch that, especially if they're getting directing gigs for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this Moon Knight series is going to be massive. I think it's going to be really big, especially the fact that they've got such good names in it. Right, so Lucasfilm is reportedly developing a new Star Wars 1313 project. This is definitely Daniel Rickman. This is the Daniel Rickman show. So 1313 was a video game that was cancelled back when, this was right before Lucasfilm was bought by Disney. And they ended up cancelling this game. It was going to be an open world game. I think a lot of it was going to be centered around Boba Fett. It seems really, really cool. But the thing is, the reason why I'm not so sure about this is because 1313 is basically what The Mandalorian is. It's, it's a video game about a Mandalorian, Boba Fett, kind of going through the Star Wars' seedy underbelly kind of criminal world. And I still think there's room for something like that in the Star Wars universe. I really do think there is. But according to him, it's going to be either a movie or a TV show. He didn't come down heavily on either side. I think if they do it, it'd be a TV show, not a movie. I'd like to see it as a video game, but apparently they're going to be more kind of open world video games, Star Wars video games coming from Lucasfilm's Games, I believe it's called now. It used to be LucasArts, but I don't know what. I think it's Lucasfilm Games, I think. But yeah, so I'm a bit iffy about this one. I'm going to be honest. I did say that in the article, but what do you think about this? Is this something that you're fascinated to see? I would like to see this. I would like to see what they could do with it, but then again, I'm a bit like, it's very close to The Mandalorian, so maybe they'll just say no and just focus on all the other TV shows they're doing and movies as well that they're doing over there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Right, Gwendolyn Christie has reportedly signed on to start in the Netflix's The Sandman series. So this comes from The Direct, I believe it comes from. Let me just check again. I've got to always check where these bits of news come from, because otherwise they get a bit annoyed. Discussing Film, sorry. No, not The Direct. So Discussing Film is saying that Gwendolyn Christie has been cast in The Sandman, which is a Netflix series based on the Neil Gaiman comic series, which is brilliant. I'm really excited for this because I think this is going to be great. The only actor that's been officially confirmed for this is Tom Sturridge. He's going to be playing Dream, who's also known as Morpheus, and he's the Sandman, basically. And Discussing Film is saying that Gwendolyn Christie has agreed to play a role in the Sandman, but that role is undisclosed, so we don't know what that role is yet. I can't really think who she'd play, I'm going to be honest. There are a couple of characters that she could play, maybe one of the gods, but we'll have to just wait and see. Neil Gaiman is developing this. He's going to be an executive producer. The series is developed by Alan Heinberg, who is also an executive producer along with Gaiman, and David S. Goyer. So I'm really excited for this series. I think this will end up probably being one of Netflix's biggest original shows in the next couple of years. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Right, moving on to another big Netflix show, which is The Witcher, which is currently the biggest Netflix original ever, and it was almost pipped at the post by the likes of The Queen's Gambit and Bridgerton, but no, they didn't quite make it. The Witcher Season 1 is still the most watched show original on Netflix. But apparently, the release date has been delayed, and this is after Henry Cavill's injury. So Henry Cavill is actually back on set now. He's back filming. But he was injured. He injured his hamstring, I believe, and he was out for a couple of weeks. And those weeks, they were quite vital. And so it seems as though we're going to be seeing The Witcher Season 2 more towards the end of the year and not like August, where it was originally supposed to be coming out. So a bit of some sad news, really, but we're getting it. At least we're getting it. And at least they've managed to film throughout a pandemic, which is quite incredible. But yeah, so it means that we're going to have to wait a couple of months to see The Witcher Season 2. What we're going to have to wait a very long time for, because it's not coming, is La Révolution Saison 2. So the French TV show that I thought did really well on the streaming service. It did really well on small screen. I covered it quite a lot because I really, really liked this show. It's a French show. Kind of a different like horror twist on the revolution in France, and they're basically saying that all the aristocrats ended up being infected by a virus that turned them into zombies, where they just wanted to kill poor people. So it's a weird premise for a show. Thing is, it was quite fun. It's very, very French. I really liked it, and I know a lot of people that liked it as well, but it's been cancelled. That was revealed by the head of Netflix in France, basically the one that does all the guy that does all the French programming for Netflix. So he recently greenlit. Well, he was one of the people behind Lupin, which has been doing really well on Netflix at the moment. It looks like Lupin season 2 is happening, which is good news for French TV shows on Netflix, because not a lot of them get a second season. So he was actually talking to Allociné. Incidentally, I used to work for Allociné. I'm trying to find his name. Damien Couvreur, he's like the kind of pioneer of Netflix's original French content. So he said, and I translated this, he said, the revolution has indeed attracted many members beyond France, I think many viewers beyond France. For us, this is proof that France, its history and its heritage can interest an international audience. However, we are not going to renew the series for a second season because although it aroused curiosity, the public didn't find what they wanted. Well, fair enough. It's a shame because it did end on a cliffhanger, so it means we're never going to find out what happens at the beyond season 1, which is a shame. And on that bombshell, I'm going to end the show. Thank you so much for watching. It was a lot to get through. These Tuesday episodes are going to be a bit longer and a lot for me to get through. And I'm sorry if I was slightly tired today, but it's been a long day. You can follow Small Screen wherever you follow, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Small Screen Co. You can follow me at EJ Lauder on Twitter if you so wish. If you'd rather listen to this as a podcast, I do put them out pretty soon after the live has aired, and that you can find that at Small Screen Stories. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us 5 stars. That'd be great. You can like and subscribe over on YouTube. You can that'd be really, really wonderful if you could do that. You can also like the Facebook page and follow the Facebook page. Follow us on everywhere, basically everywhere. Share the video. Why don't you share the video? Comment on the videos. That really, really does help. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you'd like to see. Tell me what you want to see in the world of movies, TV shows, basically pop culture. And on that note, I will say goodbye. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Goodbye.